Hauntings are known and experienced throughout the world. Our history is covered with tragic events, and there are many tales from people who are convinced their homes are inhabited by things not of this world. But what about the world's most haunted locations? In this video, we will count down our top 5 most terrifying haunted places around the world. Let's begin. Number 5. 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, USA. Our first haunted location is one that was known to have inspired the 1970s movie The Amityville Horror. The story tells of the new property owners at the time, the Lutz family, who experienced many varied and terrifying instances of paranormal activity. Cold spots in some parts of the house, smells of perfume and unexplained sounds at night. George Lutz was said to have become increasingly violent and hostile towards his family, and would wake at the same time every morning at 3:15 a.m. The history of the house comes into play here, as a member of the previous family slaughtered the entire household at 3:15 a.m. just 1 year before the Lutz family moved in. Later, they would experience objects flying across the room, and walls producing a thick slime with no apparent source. On the last night the Lutz family inhabited the house, George Lutz reported that he saw his wife levitate off the bed, and the children were said to have experienced the same. The family abandoned the property, never to return. Number 4. Monte Cristo, New South Wales, Australia. The Monte Cristo has been given the title of Australia's most haunted homestead. The hauntings are very well known in Australia, and the location itself is a popular stop on ghost tours. The property was built in 1885, and through its history had a series of tragic events, including a maid who was pushed over the balcony and killed, a stable boy who burned to death, and an infant was thrown down the stairs. The building was bought in 1963 by Olive Ryan and her late husband, and believed the previous owners Christopher and Elizabeth Crawley, who died between 1910 and 1933, remain within the house. Claims of the haunting involve Elizabeth experiencing lights being turned on at the Victorian Manor, despite the location not having any power at the time, and there have been a series of events where the family have witnessed spiritual figures appearing around the property. Olive Ryan's son, who grew up on the property, claims to have had several instances of a disembodied hand being placed on his shoulder, as well as his name being called from empty rooms around the house. Other stories tell of footsteps heard on the balcony where the maid was killed, with no source or explanation. Number 3. The Princess Theatre, Australia. The Princess Theatre was built back in 1854, and on the night of March 3rd, 1888, during the final act of an opera show, performer Frederick Baker was performing his final scene of the show, where he enacts his descent to hell using the stage trapdoor. Unfortunately, Baker suffered a fatal heart attack and died that night at the age of 37. Since Baker's death, there have been many reports of people seeing his ghost in and around the theatre. Both visitors and staff members have said he is known to commonly appear on the nights of performances and watch from the dress circle. He changes through many stage outfits, but is regularly seen in the evenings dressed in a cloak and top hat, giving him the nickname of the real Phantom of the Opera. Number 2. The Bangar Fort, India. The fort was built in the 16th century in the deserted town of Bangra, Rajasthan, and through its history has gained a reputation of the most haunted place in India. There are many tales which attempt to explain the haunting phenomena, but one story tells of a beautiful princess of Bangar named Ratnavati in the 17th century, who was almost cursed by a magician named Singhiya. She fought away from the magician, but accidentally killed the man in the process. Before his death, he is said to have cursed the kingdom overall. This is said to be the reason for so many attacks and wars, which ultimately caused the complete abandonment of the fort in the 18th century. It is said that the fort is haunted by the spirit of the magician and the people who were killed by the curse and the ensuing warfare. There are many other myths to explain the hauntings, but there is still no solid explanation for the paranormal phenomena. There have been experiences of unnatural sounds, sightings of spectral figures, and sounds of a crying woman. The Indian government has gone as far as to ban any person to be in the area after dark due to the location's history and subsequent paranormal phenomena. Number 1. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. Aokigahara Forest has sadly earned the nickname of Suicide Forest. Over the years, the densely packed woodland around the base of Mount Fuji has been a place where many people have taken their lives, leaving their bodies to be found or left to decompose throughout the forest. By the 1970s, the Japanese government introduced an annual clear-up operation of the forest as an attempt to thin the ever-increasing amount of human remains within the woodland, and by 2003 the bodies recovered were said to have reached numbers in the hundreds. Some say the suicides were prompted by a 1960 novel called The Black Sea of Trees, which featured a couple committing suicide in a forest, but it is said that suicides in Aokigahara predate the novel by hundreds of years. Stories of paranormal phenomena in the forest have been recorded throughout history, including strange lights, ghosts, feelings of unbearable sadness, and sounds of crying and screaming. The latter may in fact be attributed to the suicide victims themselves though, which is as saddening as it is unnerving. So there you have it, that was our top 5 list of the world's most haunted places. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check back again for our next video on top 5 strangest cryptids. Until next time.